quick break. I just want to say thank you for all the people around the world, Jamaica, Germany, Asia, Europe, South America. Thank you for listening to Leap of Health. Thank you for the support. And remember, my book is out. You can find it on Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. Thank you again for all the support. And now, back to our episode. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today, I am super excited. We have with us today, Renata Bevilacqua.
Renata
Bevilacqua?
Yeah.
That was hard.
No worries. It's okay.
She's been an educator for about 20 years.
Here in for 20 years, yes.
Yes, that's a pretty long time. She's been teaching on international schools. She's currently teaching in Houston, so I love that. And we're going to be talking today about teenage and resilience and education and what you have observed all these years on your school and outside of the school and all your training. Before that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what was your calling for being an educator? I know this is an international school, so it's a bit different from just our regular, everybody knows, how the school process goes on just the regular government schools and all that. Tell us a little bit about all that and your experience as an educator.
Yes. Okay. So I am from Brazil. So I am graduated in sociology and education. So I have all my university studies were done in Brazil, and then I had a master's degree in Spanish teaching from Spain. So I have always been a language teacher for some reason. It like things just matched up my way like that. So I used to teach French in Brazil and in Venezuela, where I lived before. And I have been in Houston for 22 years, and I have been in the school for 21, teaching Spanish to middle and high schoolers. So things were pretty much, I think the path was pretty much being opened up as I walk by, and when you have a purpose and you have something in mind, I think things are going to be arranged on your way. I think so. It was good. So yeah, very positive. I have been very happy in the school I have been into. We have many nationalities represented. Our population, our demographics is very diverse and very international. I love that. As Houston is a very international city, I don't think I could really be myself in a place that is just one culture, one language. So, I'm pretty happy where I am now, and I enjoy what I do. So, yeah.
No, that's amazing. How many languages do you speak?
Fluently as an 83. English would be the fourth one, so I will hesitate a little bit. My words do not come that easily as on Spanish, Portuguese, and French. And I used to speak a little more Italian, which I have been losing over time because I don't practice that much, but I still speak. I can go to Italy easily, no problem. I understand everything and I can communicate quite efficiently, but not with the level that I have in the other languages. So, but that's fine. It's okay.
That is amazing. I mean, sometimes, we speak two languages and it's just like so hard. So I can imagine you speak 4, 5. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And that's great. I feel like every time we learned, a different language, it brings us such a different layer of understanding in the world.
Yes, because there is a whole mindset behind every language, and we think a little bit differently when you have to communicate in a different language. And that's sometimes the reason why I hesitate a little bit in English, because this is the one I use curiously the least on my day-to-day life, in my everyday life. But yeah, that's it.
Your English is, to me, is perfect.
Thank you. Very good.
And we're going to be talking about resilience. What have you learned or seen all these years of education? Do you think, as an spectator, I guess for me, I feel like our kids nowadays are
Mhm.
not as resilient as maybe years, I don't know, 10 years ago. What are your thoughts on that? What have you seen with
Yeah,
that
I
in
think that
changes?
is that has been a general observation from educators and neuroscientists, people around the world and here in the United States as well. Uh, Actually, there were many changes that were going on and taking place already before the pandemics. Okay, in terms of stress, anxiety, so our kids are a little no, way more stressed and anxious, and we have a lot of cases of depression. I'm not talking about the school I work with
Mhm.
generally. I'm talking about schools in general,
General.
middle
Mhm.
and high school in general, because I'm also reporting what I have heard in conferences from people coming from other schools and other states, and so it's not something that it's not a story of the school I work at, although it's also reflecting in that environment as well. It's a general trend.
Yes.
So that anxiety, depression, and stress have was already in crescendo before the pandemics. What the pandemics did was exacerbate those trends. So when we came back, we are really facing a different reality. Okay, it's not completely new, but it's aggravated right now. Okay, so it's true. Kids are a little more having more problems with stress and everything. And this is probably also a reflection of a crescendo in, or actually a loss in resilience over time. So
Mhm.
we have been trying to understand what is causing those things, why our kids are lacking resilience and the ability to cope, right, with stress and anxiety. So many things can come to play. So if you think about resilience as being the ability to withstand shocks, okay? So you can navigate through difficult situations or uncomfortable situations or adversities, okay? And still you can overcome them and function or even thrive. Okay, so
Mhm.
that would be the ability. I don't like a lot the comparison with the rubber ball. You have to bounce back, because bouncing back is something you do spontaneously. The rubber ball doesn't think and doesn't have to do any effort. Just
Mhm.
it happens. Resilience is not something, in my opinion, that would be automatic. You need to apply some skill to do that, to be resilient and overcome difficulties. But those skills are not something you were born with or not, okay, or you were raised from early life to have, or you were doomed not to have. It's something you can build in and you can develop. So not a problem. But we have been observing a loss in resilience for our middle and high school, which is the population I can observe and the one I talk about. I don't know much about
Yes.
elementary school. I don't know much about universities, but as far as the material I have been reading, that's also the case for university, for college students,
Mhm.
which I can imagine, right? Because you go from high school to college, so you
Yeah.
will continue on your way of doing things. So what I was thinking, and I have been giving a lot of thought to that, because I'm also an instructional coach. So the things we observe, our teachers observe as a whole, are reported as well. And I say, oh, I'm not the only one observing this. And then I went to a conference. Oh, yeah. And I'm seeing this. And oh, yeah, everybody is talking about the same thing. That's good. We are not abnormal. We are not different. That
Mhm.
has been happening around everyone, right? So we try to understand what happened, what has been happening over time for our kids to be that. Kids are always vulnerable, but now we feel that they are particularly they are having more difficulties to
Mhm.
deal with those vulnerabilities, right? So think about before, in the past, how people would raise their kids before the internet, before. So we can imagine some situations in which the kids were playing around outside. They would meet with friends, right? So
Mhm.
the ball here, whatever, okay, you have the neighbors. So there is a sense of community, not everywhere, every reality is different, but they would learn how to drive at a certain age. And then they would do some very risky things sometimes, too many, right?
Yeah.
Of those, they would sometimes drink a little bit before the age. So some risky behaviors as well. So think about how we drove before our cars long ago, by
Mhm.
when our parents were driving. No seat belts,
Mhm.
right? Just driving a car. Even the glasses, were different. You had an
Yeah.
accident, that thing would cut you in 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, things were different. So awesome evolution in terms of safety, in terms of protection of the general population and our kids as well. Parents also realize that probably spanking is not the best way to educate, right? So we have had to come to other solutions. Okay, no, if I want really to educate and make this message come through, there are more efficient ways, there are more appropriate. Okay, so we have evolved a lot. The only problem is that being, aware the way we are and having all those things in mind, we are going a little too much in the other direction. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's a little excessive. Now we want to protect our kids from everything and anything. Okay. So to the point that we are interfering a lot with everything as parents, right?
Mhm.
So, and we can find that in schools, for example. We can find that the notion of safetyism. Okay, that's a new term we are using right now. And safetyism would be that obsession for everything to be super safe, and everything is perceived as a threat. And
Mm.
there comes the problem. We are expanding our notion of danger and threat around our kids. We don't want them to be at risk at all. We don't want them to be uncomfortable with a situation. So we are avoiding discomfort. Okay. So because we are protecting sometimes our kids in this way, they don't have the opportunities to have that free play, to have those abilities to develop the negotiation when they have conflicts with their peers. They have to learn how to overcome those things and negotiate and come to a common ground, right? Because
Mhm.
before, nobody would intervene for us. You have to deal with your situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have a problem with a friend, and if it is in school, it is very frequent that you are just going to change the meaning of certain words. So, what would be a normal conflict between kids that happen all the time? All of a sudden, oh, he's bullying me. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are amplifying the meaning of some words, so they are losing their original meaning. Everything is becoming really hard. Okay. So it's not a normal conflict, it's bullying. Bullying is something that a school has to address very seriously because
Course.
it has very serious consequences. So you cannot be accusing people of bullying if it's not really so, because we are going to investigate,
Course.
right? Of course, it's not like, oh, this one is bullying me and we do nothing about, like if it was no. But if everything is treated as
Yeah.
the amount of energy and resource spent in trying to find in every situation what's going on,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Situations that would be resolved by themselves sometimes in no
Mhm.
time. And
Yeah.
what happens? Our kids now have phones all the time in school. They have the nimiest conflict with someone. First thing they do, message mom or dad. Oh, this one, mom and dad or one or the other are panicky right away. Oh, my son, my daughter is having that hard time. Let's
Yeah.
call the principal. right away. That has been happening. And it's really incredible. So sometimes, so we have to understand also, why am I talking about this? Because we have to understand that lack of resilience can be really a backlash from overprotective parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who have the best of intentions. Okay, we have evolved as a society. We want our kids to be safe, but what is safety? Okay, so this is one of the things. So now we are trying to protect them from, physically or emotionally and everything. So that's a back loop, and then they will grow more anxious because then more things are perceived as a threat for the
Yeah.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things they would normally work with and overcome. Oh, now that has a name that is more important, and it has become a threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things. So those concepts, sometimes they creep. Like the concept of harassment also can be creeped. It's amazing the job that we have been doing in society to protect people from harassment, women in general. That was the reality for centuries.
Yes.
Horrible situation. So it is very important to address those things. But again, if you tell me harassment, that needs investigation, right? It's the same thing. Bullying is serious thing. Harassment is serious thing. So what are you calling harassment? Same thing for trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma is something important. That happens, yes. You have a trauma, you have to address it. But if you are uncomfortable with something, oh, I'm traumatized. That teacher is traumatizing me. Oh, that's a trauma. Everything becomes trauma, nothing is.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have to really pay attention to our language as a society, teachers, parents, and people in general. Okay, sometimes we want to be very emphatic with our words, and we are really creeping those meanings. You are deforming, and then we don't know exactly how to behave because
Exactly.
we're confused, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the things. Another thing that is hard it's very difficult for you to develop autonomy and agency as a kid, as a teenager, if you have that umbilical cord all the time with your parents, right? And now the cell phone is the eternal umbilical cord. You don't go anywhere without that umbilical cord. You have the GPS. You can call them anytime. They can reach you anytime, which is awesome for us as parents. I'm a parent. Oh, so good to know that you're fine, even if I'm not calling. Amazing. It's very good. But it's also so, okay, I am not going to feel safe if I don't have this. And
Mm-hmm.
that happens to us. Try to forget your cell phone at home and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Right? We
Mm-hmm.
feel naked, we feel vulnerable, you feel that something happens to you, have no way to communicate. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna die. I need my phone. You come back and you pick up, right? You lose
Mm-hmm.
it, it's a disaster. I cannot call anyone. I don't know any phone numbers, right?
Yeah.
Even for, even for us, it is
Yeah.
a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So another thing is that in order to protect and develop our kids' self-esteem, we want them to have a self-esteem, a healthy self-esteem, of course, but we want a self-esteem based on reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Capacity and competency, right? We don't want self-esteem just because. So excessive praise, for example, praise could be a big problem because people tend to believe, and that's something that I have been seeing over time. Many teenagers come formatted to believe they are all deserving. Not everyone, of course. They should be entitled to this and this and this and that, right? And oh no, I'm good. No, you people make them believe they're good before
Mm-hmm.
they even prove themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So if you are failing a subject, oh, it's not my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Can happen. It's not the case for everyone. The teacher is being too harsh or too many, whatever it is. It sometimes can be the case as well. I'm not, just saying that parents are always wrong. Not at all. Okay. So that can be. But how much before you even question the whole situation, the child has to be prepared, right? To, okay, you are not doing well in this subject. Why? Let me understand what's going on. Are you having difficulties in what? How can I help you? Have you reached for help? Did you ask your teacher for some clarification? Have you been talking to a peer who could probably help you better understand the subject? So
Mm-hmm.
instead of trying to promote agency, okay, so your child has a problem. I don't know if the teacher is unfair, he is too hard on him or not, but still,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not at all. But how am I promoting agency in my child? I'll say, okay, you know what? You go, you talk to him. Try to know, oh, nothing happened. Okay, so you didn't do well. Let me try to help. What happened here? And you will try to find out if there is really a problem, or if your child is not studying, if he's not sleeping enough. He cannot assimilate anything in class because he's not sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
right? So situations like that. So promote agency and autonomy. You have to be your own voice. You know, I am here for you if you need me, but you have to voice your concerns. You can address someone, you can ask for help, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
if you have a parent that is behind at the minimum discomfort, let me call someone and complain, or write an email and complain and ask for a meeting, and you will explain to me why thing is happening,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that reality, of course, is one of the responsible factors for so many teachers in many schools quitting
Mm-hmm.
their jobs right now, right? We had a whole evasion from teachers. Yeah, and I can imagine why. I am very fortunate. I didn't have that same kind of reality around me, but yeah, that has been happening a lot, right? We
Mm-hmm.
can have some of that, but not all the time. So administrators are also being all the time, you know, they have to be talking to parents or coming, and those are the nice parents, because 95% of the parents are very workable parents. Okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
nice, everything is fine until everything is fine. If there is a problem,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So they are reasonable people with very good intentions that want the best for their children, that, but even then, it's a general trend of society. It's like, oh, I feel bad if I don't intervene because this one does that, this one does that. So we are having peer pressure as parents as well,
Right.
as
Mm-hmm.
what is acceptable behavior as a parent. And you feel bad when you don't need to. What? And you didn't call? How come? So you don't care about your child, right? Oh, no. I am promoting agency and autonomy, and nobody will understand you, of course. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, those are the things. But I think one of the real problems that we have been facing is really, it's something that we cannot avoid because it's necessary, is the usage of technology, excessive use of technology, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for our kids. So technology has come to stay. There's nothing we can do about it, and it's good because look, we can talk. You are at a place, I'm at a different one, so it's a blessing in so many ways that saved us during the whole pandemics. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it could continue to have an education. People continue to work most of the time. Many people, yeah, stop working then, but that created a very sudden change as well. Okay. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, and I have to come back a little bit. You have to understand that every change will create stress. Stress is good. Stress is what makes you move, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
have absolutely no stress for anything, you're not going to do anything. Stress is a little force that
Mm-hmm.
will make you move forward. Too much stress is something else, because then you will engage in fight or flight situations, and you will have your adrenaline, or so it's complicated. You have all the chemistry of your body being affected by a state of constant threat, imaginary threat. So we don't want that. But some stress is really necessary. But what happened with coming back to the technology, um, I think the smartphones appeared around 2007, if I am not mistaken. I
Around
don't,
that time. Mm-hmm.
more or less, right? But the reality is, by the end of 2012, the majority of the population in this country had a smartphone, a personal smartphone, even teenagers. The great majority was already hooked, very connected to a smartphone that did everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the umbilical cord effect, okay? At the same time, even if you have some parental control, kids they started having access to content, all kinds of unfiltered content you can find on the internet that are not developmentally adequate for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that will create also, whoa, those little shock effects, things that you cannot handle, you cannot interpret, you cannot metabolize that thing because it's not developmentally adequate for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the kids have all of this available to them at their hands all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're curious, right? So let's go and see this and that, all kinds of unfiltered contents, opinions. They are vulnerable. They have social media.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is by law, the minimum age is 13 years old to have a social media, that law is not enforced, right? So people just lie about their age, they put another name, and there you go. And you have access to all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 13, come on, 13 years old,
Yeah,
right?
still a kid.
Still a kid. What kind of filter do you really have? What kind of life experience do you really have to be exposed to so much?
Yeah.
So we have that. Then, because I am hooked to that thing, oh, I have the social media, that another aspect. If I'm on social media, I am comparing myself all the time to a reality that is completely fake and photoshopped and created to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
I And that will add up to my feeling of inadequacy, because all teenagers feel inadequate at a certain moment in time. They are
Mm-hmm.
growing up, they are adjusting to the world, they are trying there is this process of individuation outside of their parents, right? So it is a very turbulent phase of life naturally.
Mm-hmm.
On any other things, it's very hard to be a teenager, right? But now you are comparing yourself to the whole world, and all kids are your age who are, just picturing those wonderful situations, and oh, I'm here, I'm there, look at me.
Yes. All that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are communicating, and kids sometimes can be very mean to each other, and they
Mm-hmm.
are communicating without any filters. And this is a sociological thing, we know that as a sociologist, I know perfectly, when you feel you don't have an identity up front, you will not behave as you will behave in some way, like it's the mob effect. For example, if you have a mob, you have a collective of people that are able to do atrocious things that they would not do individually sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are behind a wheel, sometimes you see people behaving in a way, oh my goodness, how could I ever imagine that person would be able to say those things? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because they wouldn't. Outside of the car, they wouldn't do
Right.
certain reckless behaviors, because there is that factor of my identity is hidden. I am somehow protected. Even if I'm not, you feel protected. If you are behind a screen, you feel sometimes protected and having a contact,
Mhm.
in person to someone. So what does that do? People, the kids will speak way more roughly to their peers. Okay.
Mhm.
Bullying can really happen through those vehicles even easier, in a much easier way than in person, because you don't have to confront the person.
Right.
She becomes virtual somehow, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's a lot of stress for them. So, and they are more vulnerable to those little attacks,
Mhm.
and and themselves doing that as well. So one more vulnerability, feelings of inadequacy that are exacerbated. One, in a time you are trying to establish your identity, they have the natural pressure of, okay, I have to go to school, I have to have good grades because I have to go to the college, and the pressure at home is immense about college.
Mhm.
That is another thing. Parenting now is like a task. Parenting Parents tend to project themselves into their kids. So I am creating that human project to the world,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
When you create a project, you are not kind with yourself because you are going to do your best to create that model. Okay. But when parenting becomes, I'm creating that project, you have some expectations that are sometimes too much for the kid, or you are not respecting their natural needs or inclinations or vocation or whatever. You have your project in mind. So
Mhm.
conscious parenting is a hard thing to do because you have to question yourself all the time. Oh, am I doing this? Why am I projecting? Oh my gosh, okay, what did I just do? That will happen. But if you are aware, it's way better, right? You can protect your child. But then another one, child has that device all the time. Parents are losing them when they are teenagers because they are in that processes of individuation out of home because they are transitioning to adult life, right?
Mhm.
Conflicts arise, a lot of bumps, okay? So at a certain point in time, parents started picking their fights. I cannot fight for everything. So I'm certainly not fighting for that computer in the room, or I'm not fighting for that phone. Let the kid be okay and have, okay, I'm not picking that one.
Mhm.
What happens? That kid is faking, oh, I'm going to sleep. Good. So you believe your child is sleeping, right?
Mhm.
And he's just scrolling the internet, phone. Okay. So some researches have shown that kids that were expected to sleep at least 8 or 9 hours a night on average, they have been average nation. Okay, it's not in our school or something like that, but nationwide they have been sleeping like 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 3,
Terrible.
because of course you are distracted, you have that light
Mhm.
from the device, so it will sometimes make you sleep later because you will be like awake, you are curious. Next day you have plenty of activities, you have to get up early to go to school, and then you have after school activities, and you have sports, and you have your homework to be done, and then but you still want to do your thing, so you will stay late night, and that's a cycle. And then we have kids falling asleep in the classroom, not being able to understand anything, and then
Mhm.
they stress. And when they stress because things are not going the way they would like them to
Mhm.
be, that anxiety will diminish greatly their ability, their work memory, right? Their frontal lobe activity.
Mhm.
So executive function goes to sleep
Yeah.
because they are anxious. They cannot work academically. and then grades fall, and then, oh, I don't understand why my kid is having such bad grades.
Mm-hmm.
You were
Exactly.
grading too hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my kid just, he failed this test. Can you please do a retake?
Mm-hmm.
Retakes are not bad. There is a pedagogical justification for some retakes in some situations. If you
Mm-hmm.
do that as a progression of learning, okay, you can take a retake as a means, but it has to be planned ahead. But if every time a kid fail, right, because he didn't prepare enough, you're going to do a retake, that becomes a new habit.
Yeah. Just the deserving that we're doing to the kids itself, right? Like we're in this effort to protect them and to mean well and to have all these expectations for them for their future, we end up failing them almost, right?
Yes, yeah, that's the case. And it's very unintended consequence,
Mm-hmm.
because we all mean well as parents. And it's not that we are going to do that all the time. And some, on the other hand, oh no, no technology at all. So this is forbidden. But it's impossible because kids have to master some tools nowadays, even for their future. So
Yes.
we have to find a way in which they are not overexposed and they are using technology wisely, but they need to have some control, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
I, I like that you talk about conscious parenting and be mindful of what they're doing. I think finding the balance of what am I exactly doing? How am I exactly protecting
Mhm.
or taking care of my kid? Is it too much? If it's not, how am I interfering or not in the development of my kid, especially when it comes to resilience, because it's going to be one of the main keys in their lives
Mhm.
to succeed or not.
Yeah, the tools they need to survive in the new world in which information can be reached out technologically, you don't have to do it, you have everything in your brain,
Hmm.
is problem solving, resilience, the ability to cope and to flexibility to adjust to change.
Hmm.
Okay, but all change, as I told you, all change, good or bad, will create stress because
Hmm.
change creates stress. It's a movement. So if you cannot deal with change, if you don't have that flexibility, that adaptability, because you are always, so protected and you cannot handle discomfort,
Hmm.
how are you going to survive in the new world that depends on this?
Exactly. How
Right?
how do we do this? Like, let's say, I mean, I don't have kids, but as a parent asking this, right? They'll be like, okay, I want to do that because I want my kid to succeed. What are
Mhm.
some of the things I need to be aware in order for me not to overprotect my child for, from the world?
Yeah, yeah. I think there are many things. I think being a parent is like any other activity, but we take that as something that comes naturally because biologically it comes naturally. Okay, but if you are going to be something professionally, you will have to prepare yourself, you have to study, you have to train, you have to be curious, you have to try to improve yourself, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes people just believe that parenting will come naturally. It will, the survival skills will, okay? But in a changing world, we need to be a little more um,
Proactive, I
curious
guess.
and proactive.
Mhm.
Study a little more, although there are many of bad advice out there. The safetyism trend
Mhm.
comes from bad advice from professionals sometimes,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
are well intended as well, but then people take that to the extreme. Okay, so I think, yeah, studying is good, but we have to create situations for our kids to have choices. You will give some choices, not open choices. They are not developmentally ready to make open choices, okay? But give some choices they will pick one. Oh, there is a responsibility in there. It is your choice. It is your consequence for that choice. It's fine. So they will learn about choices, create consequences or create results. Not bad, but this is a result of that. Okay. You have a little problem. It's not a big problem that need my intervention. They will have plenty of little problems. Okay, you will solve that. How are you going to solve that? So go figure it out. You can exchange ideas, but you are not guiding. Oh, you have to do this and this and that. You have to, or even worse, I am going to talk to his mom, or, you know, no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how are you going to solve that? So you will create agency. The kids, okay, I have to try to solve my own problems, but I know if I am in big trouble, I have someone to help me out. I have my parents behind me to support me, or if I need something, they are there, but they are not jumping in all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for school. Okay, school is the only thing you do. You have that responsibility. You have to do it well. If you have a difficulty, good. I will try to provide every single help you need to overcome your difficulty, but you will try our help and your best. And I want to know what your best is. Sometimes your best is not the maximum grade, and it's okay because
Right.
every child is different and they're different. So it's fine. But try to provide that vision. Okay, and you are good in that. How can you get better in this? Can I help you out? But not that, oh, if you don't do it, and then it means, so no threatening, but trying to see the child as a whole, as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if the child is a project, I will want that child to be brilliant academically, to excel in sports, and to do arts, and to play an instrument. Okay, it's a good intention. We want them to be well-rounded, to develop many talents. But even that, we have to, okay, there is a certain amount of hours during the day. They need free play. Okay, they need
Mm-hmm.
to have social interactions, to practice social life, because that's another thing that is happening. Our kids are not being able to recognize facial cues or social cues.
Mm-hmm.
So that has created a problem in relationships, because they can do something and do not understand the reaction of the person as, oops, that was not adequate, that was not something you should have done. They don't understand, they will continue you
That
know
is so important point you make right there. And I think is that because of all the a long time they get within their social media or in their computer and all that, that they
yeah,
really have no clue what's really happening in in a real situation.
I think that's the case in most part, yes, because they have been interacting virtually with people, even if it's real people, but it's from afar. There are some things that are lost in the communication, and they are distracted because maybe they are talking to you, but they have another 5 tabs open, and
Mm,
and the
that
phone
is
here,
true.
and
Yeah.
someone there. So there is this general distraction that will not allow the person to really focus on the person she or he
They,
is talking to.
mm-hmm.
When we have observed that loss in social cues, recognition of facial and social cues to complete. So free play is important. Having friends to play with, okay, real friends in presence. You have to monitor how many hours, or how much time the kids spend using the computer or the cell phone, because they can say, oh no, I need that for school. Great. So what are the parental controls that I can put in place for
Mm-hmm.
my kid not to go there and there? How many times is there going to be a person watching a little bit? Okay, because of course more and more work are required to be done on a computer.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we are going to go back a little bit, because now with artificial intelligence and everything, they will cheat in so many different ways that it's not
Yeah.
even worth, yeah, trying. But and some things will be integrated, and it's reality is evolving, and we have to decide what we're going to do with that. So those are times of constant change. So those are times of constant stress and adaptation. We are changing in so many levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So navigating that hand to hand with the kid doesn't mean we are doing things for them. You are just being that force behind, guiding them to be autonomous, to have agency, okay, to negotiate by themselves. And then if something is not possible, maybe sometimes, if it's very serious, you will intervene. Otherwise, it's just life. And our kids will be confronted to people of all different kinds of people. Some will be mean to them when they are adults. Some will be fair and just and kind and loving. Some can be cruel with their words and everything. Okay, they have to be prepared to deal with all that and survive, right? I
Mm-hmm.
remember one situation in which my daughter she was at her freshman year at college, and she did a work. It was like, I don't know how many pages of a research and a work about, I don't know what, but so she really did a very good job. She was working a lot, she dedicated herself, and then she came to she turned that in, and the professor read the first and second page, marked a little bit, nothing else was read. He or she, I don't even remember, gave her a very bad grade in return. So she was devastated. Oh my gosh, it's not possible. Haven't even read my work and decided that. And for me as a mother, seeing that, oh my God, I was destroyed. Oh my goodness. Of course, I wanted to jump in and try to talk to someone. How come you're doing that to my child? Okay, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
It's her life. She has to go through that situation. Of course, I want to save her,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wouldn't be able to. So, you know what, love? I understand. So now you are going to take that, see the markings, communicate with the professor, and try to know what you did wrong and how you can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she was not having it. Okay, but she did it. And then it was, of course, I think for the next day or 2 days after, she didn't have time because she had some other things to do. You know what? Go and do it. You can do it. It's fair. I don't know. It's unfair. I don't know. But you will be confronted to many different unfair situations in your life, and you have to survive them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do the work. In that situation, you have no voice. She or he said, this is not good, you have to redo it. So you will redo it, even if I do not agree with that, even if you do not agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was beginning crying and trying to do and she spent many hours during the night. She went the night in to do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the result and I don't care, because the most important thing is that she knew and she learned how to overcome that problem. She
Mm-hmm.
advocated for herself. She knew she had to do it. She had to survive that unfair situation for her, right?
Yeah.
And everything is okay. It was hard, yes. It was painful, yes, for her and for me. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I am not going to be able to protect her no,
Every time. Yeah.
no, no. And it's not my job to, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not my job. She has to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and she did it, and it was okay. Okay, I'm here for you, but that's your deal. You can do it. And she did it.
Yeah. And it's just so important to let them be strong. Let them learn how to move through the uncomfortable. And I think that's one of the keys in general with all the individuals. I think the meaning of the words that we put to so many, right? To
Mm.
as bullying, as everything else that we talk about,
Trauma,
harassment and all
harassment.
that,
Yeah.
drama, trauma, everything, right?
Mhm.
The meaning that we put to these words now, we're all confused. People don't want to move through the uncomfortable. People wants to either shut down or not deal with it. And especially if you're a young adult, a teenager, you want still, or your parents are gonna come and do the work for you. And I think that's where where we keep on failing them because they're not moving through the growth. They're not moving through the uncomfortable. They're not building social skills, um, problem solving skills, which are so important as, when they get actually a real job, the
Mhm.
parent is not going to be there. And I think those are some of the things that no one is thinking about it because the kid is 10.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 10, but we're working for when the kid is 21 or 23.
30, because those things will
Yeah.
be so anchored in their personalities, right? Sometimes. And the same happens with praise. When
Mhm.
you look at, oh, you are so good. Oh, you are doing so, a way to go for everything. Of course, I want to promote, and to enhance everything that my kids are doing well. But if I'm just praising or if I am rewarding expected behavior, that's expected from you. I'm not going to reward that.
Yeah.
See? So giving prices because you have a good grade, I'm sorry. That's your profession. You are doing that. I'm here to help you, but I don't pay for you to develop it. It's part of your development. You have to do it. I don't have to reward you for that. I recognize and I hope very nice job. Awesome. But I'm not here to reward financially or in any other ways, because then the kid will learn that everything he or she does is for a prize, is for
Mhm.
something immediate. And then that will undermine their intrinsic motivation. Everything is going to be done for extrinsic reward. I'm
Mhm.
not, I don't want my kids to be only doing things for others for extrinsic rewards. They have to
Mhm.
learn how to do things for their own growth and to develop their own growth mindset. I failed here. I made a mistake here. Awesome, because I've learned from it. And that thing that I've learned will prepare me to be better next time. It's not that
Mhm.
I am this, I am going through this, right?
Mhm.
So it's a whole change in mentality when sometimes see the parents and kids see a bad grade, they, oh, I am not
Mhm.
good or I am stupid. No, you are in a learning process. And the stage you are right now, you didn't understand that little thing, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't make your identity. It's a learning. It's just the learning you are going through. And now you showed me that, but that's not a problem because from this we will learn that, and next time you will learn more, and next time you'll learn more. But what happens when my identity is projected or on the grade? Every grade is an offense,
Mhm.
right? And that's the problem. That's why we have so many interferences from parents. Oh, you are insulting my kid. It's not said like that, but in the, it's right,
Yeah.
that grade is an insult. How come my child is insulted with that grade, right? Like as if you were not doing your job because that grade is not good, because it's perceived as an insult. Why? Because you are matching grade with person. No, person is reflecting that little piece of work into that grade that will change. So that's another thing. How can we help our children? Help them develop a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Very important. One more tool. Another tool. I know how much it is important that I am a parent. I nowadays, if I had a teenager, I could not even imagine a 12-year-old without a phone for me to reach out in case of need. But we have now phones that are real phones
Mhm.
again, right? So it is, I know that one is called the GABA phone or something like that. So they don't have any connectivity to the internet. It's just
Mhm.
a phone that has a GPS or something like that. And they have some other features. I don't know because I didn't go through the details because I don't have teenagers anymore, right?
Right. That's
But
great.
yeah, but now there are new phones that are not smartphones completely. So you can reach to your child, they can call you, and you can know where they are in case they are lost, but you are not communicating all the time. and they don't have any access to the internet with the phone. So
Mhm.
that could be a solution as well. Another thing, parents have to be strong. No computers and no cell phones in the bedroom at night, ever,
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
That is really the source of so many problems. Our kids are not sleeping, they are stressed out, they are more vulnerable, they're being harassed, sometimes bullied, really, okay?
Mhm.
Or they're comparing themselves, all those kinds of, or distraction. We are just exacerbating distraction,
Mhm.
okay? So no electronics in the bedroom. When they go to sleep, they go to sleep. They can have a book. That's it.
Mhm.
And I know how hard it is to enforce those things, because I went to a conference in which I remember the presenter was saying, yeah, he said to a mother, yeah, you really have to cut this computer thing in the bedroom. I cannot do that. No, I cannot do that. That's going to be a war. Okay, but try. She tried, and it was a war. Okay, but that was an extreme case. But I remember very recently, I had a conversation with a parent because the kid is not sleeping, gaming all the time. Gaming is another problem, big problem,
Mhm.
addictive. And now it is recognized as an addiction by the World Health Association. It is addiction. And I just told her, you know what? He cannot have his computer or cell phone in his bedroom anymore because he's not sleeping. He's gaming all the time. Oh, I don't know how to do that. You take it away. Oh, no, I can't, because he has had this for years now. I don't
Mhm.
know how to do it. So that's the problem. As parents, sometimes we are just obeying our kids, because our kids have developed such a strong will right now that they can do everything. That
Yeah,
it
it's
is
true.
sometimes, yeah, it is sometimes very, very, very hard to fight this, but it's
Mhm.
a need. It's a need. We have to be very aware of those things. If you want to protect our children, no electronics in the bedroom. They will
Mhm.
have enough electronics during the day. In other situations, they don't need it at night.
Yeah, for sure. And it just reminded me, I do coachings for how to eat better, and I coach
Mhm,
parents on all these things.
mhm.
Same exact thing. When it comes to like, well, you can't have Cheetos and all these junk food in the house because we're trying to build a healthier habit.
Mhm.
And that's some of the responses that I get, but like, oh my God, I can't.
Uh-huh.
Like, and they have this struggle within, and I'm like, look, if you see it this way, who buys the food? You do. You work for the money, you buy the food,
Yeah.
you are the parent. So eventually, if you stop buying that and having it at home, your kids will eat everything else that you have. So maybe
Mhm.
you have grapes or berries or apples. When the
Dried
kid
food.
is hungry, yeah, when the kid is hungry, they're not gonna see the Cheetos or the crackers or everything else that you had before. Now they're gonna start being curious about the new things that you have in the kitchen. So that was it. Just reminded me. I'm like, you gotta be the parent. Are you the parent or not? And if you wanna, it's almost how do you wanna see your kid in 10 years? It
Mhm.
starts right now, and it's just like that's such an amazing tip for everyone that is listening. It starts, and that has to be probably when they're little, I will say, or I will think, if you want to create a good habit, especially a really good healthy habit just in life in general, have the electronics out of the bedroom.
Yes, that's true. And the same for the food. Habits are created at the beginning. There is resistance, of course, but you need a certain amount of days. They say like 20 something days, but maybe a little more to
Hmm.
develop a new habit and establish it. Okay. And you will create some new neural pathways. Okay. To accommodate the new habit. So that's not impossible. It is going to happen. But the thing is that parents educate way more, and everyone, we educate and we can influence way more by example than
Mhm.
by our words, right? So whatever we show, the kids are copying all the time. They are in the first 7 years of life, they are like in that hypnotized brain waves, just assimilating all the information and all the behaviors around them. They are defining and building the world, the new construct. So that's the way we learn the most. And the thing is that if you go, uh, you have a dinner and your parents are on the cell phone instead of talking,
Mhm. Yep.
okay? Or every time you are together, you are distracted with some kind of technology and you don't have a real interaction. So of course the kid doesn't know better. That's
Mhm.
what he has always seen. So parents teach by example as well, with habits, with words, behaviors, right? Everything is. So yeah, being a parent is quite a responsibility, that's for sure, in all levels.
And it's
I
hard.
don't,
I'm
I don't
sure it
want to,
is.
I don't want to scare the parents, or the future parents seeing it, because it's also a great opportunity for personal development. Okay, I
Mhm.
think parenting is such a great opportunity for self-development and the learning of love as well. How you do. Oh my God, how is that even possible? So it is nice, but it more than nice. It is like ecstatic, but it comes with a load of responsibilities, and because our actions have deep consequences, and we have to stand our ground if you want to
Mhm.
be good parents, and you have to let them go, and we have to let them a little free for some things while so it's an art. It's an art. That's why I'm telling you, it's not something that you do like just ah let's
Magic. Yeah.
yeah, no, nature will do it by itself. That was before. In the world we live in, we have to be curious, we have to inform ourselves, we have to question, we have to read, filter good advice from bad advice, and see what makes my child more have more agency, growth mindset, responsibility, social cues, recognition. Is that what I'm helping him or her do, or I am just undermining their growth by my interruptions on their processes, right?
Mhm.
My interventions.
Yeah, for sure. And
Mm,
just think about that, right? That we are raising these kids to be the
mhm.
future of
Yeah.
the world, pretty much,
Oh yeah.
because we're giving them some sort of skills to survive in their adulthood, and how they're gonna react with their kids and how they're gonna raise their kids. And so definitely it's a powerful thing every parent is doing. And parenthood, I'm sure it's not perfect. And as I
Yeah.
said before, I'm not a parent, but I could see all the hard work and the love and everything that you guys put out there with their kids. It's just about, I think, being mindful of what happens with them and be part of their lives, as opposed to just be this observer from the outside and trying to protect them in every single step.
That's true. Kids are resilient. They are resilient normally. And we are trying to protect them so much that they lose that natural ability. They are strong. They are not fragile. We can, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, no, kids are not fragile. They have strength,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our job is to develop that strength, not by, because before it was, no, if I went through all this, then my kid can, and he'll have a harsh life. No, this is just a lack of compassion. It's not how it goes. We're not going to project your unfortunate circumstance, whatever it was, just because you survived it, right? You want them to have it better, but still, you have to understand our kids are not fragile. They are resilient. They are strong. They can be strong. So our job is to just enhance that and support them into being strong and resilient, right? So that's what we have to do. And they are so bright sometimes right now because they have access to so many things,
Mm-hmm.
and they're witty. They come with, oh my goodness, yeah, how, they have some intellectual processing that it's it's very exciting to see them into a debate when they are really doing what they have to do. It's enriching. They have so much content. They have so, you know, there is so much matter to be developed in there, in those kids. So it's fascinating to see them grow. So that's why, we don't have to put our hands into every single things they do. They are capable. They are naturally resilient if we don't undermine that strength of them.
Hmm. Believe in your kids and know that they will be okay. I think it's a
Mm.
big thing.
Yeah, being loving, caring, supportive, but you are there in the background. You cannot be in the front line of their lives, right? They will need to survive without you. They will need to thrive without you. We never know how long we're going to live or what circumstance will. They have to be autonomous. They have to have agency. They have to be happy by themselves. So that's our job.
Awesome. Thank you, Renata, for all the information today. I think there was a lot of really amazing and, you know, very important information we talk about today. And I hope everybody that is listening thinks about it. If you have kids, maybe you rethink on how you're doing things. If you're overdoing, maybe take a little step back, and it's all for your kids. If you're already doing the work, good for you, keep on doing that. And for future parents, you
Yep.
know we live in a different world, and we have to
Ever
evolve
changing,
with it.
fast changing. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to get some new tools.
Yes, that's it. And thank you so much for inviting me. I feel so honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. If you need to know any more about my show, you can find me at alexbalgood.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Remember, my book, it's out. You can find it on Amazon's and Barnes and Nobles.
Very
It's
good. I
called
loved it.
Thank you. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. If you have any questions or you need any, sometimes I have sales on the book, DM me. Let's talk about it. I'll get you all the information. And thank you, everyone, for listening today. And thank you, Renata, for being here today.
Thank you so
Everybody, have a blessed day today.